Welcome to
the Off the Cuff podcast.
I'm Shaun. This is the Invisible Man.
I do not have severe issues. I have worse issues than that.
Exactly. So, today we actually have a bit of a surprise for you. We were actually going to... You had a Venn diagram that you wanted to look at.
That is correct. We also wanted to talk about today, basically two topics.
Yes.
The first one, which is the Venn diagram he's referring to, I wanted to showcase to you guys and to him, obviously, and talk about it, is relating to like a modern kind of mental / cognitive / emotional function health thing that I found to be incredibly interesting. And I thought it would be a great topic for us to talk about. And then, after that, I figured, why not, well, you can't take me seriously?
No, I can.
Uh-huh. Ah! Yeah, I totally believe you. Anyway, he probably thinks I can't see him, but I literally can see him.
No, I know you can.
Barely, but I can. He's, very... let's just say that he's very blown out. The white balance on this camera is terrible.
Exactly.
But the second topic we want to talk about today is actually about two historic figures in the United States.
Exactly.
Who happen to be prominent and exist around the same time, and they're very influential around the same time. Not exactly the same time, technically. Who... Let's just say it's extremely trippy. You'll feel like you're, I don't know, on some sort of drugs, or you're like in some sort of altered reality or universe.
Exactly.
When you see what we're talking about at that point, so.
Yeah, exactly. Conspiracy theory alert. We think they're brothers.
Or, in some capacity, they're either clones or they're like...
No kidding.
They're... Like, one of them is the fake person, they're a plant, basically. Exactly. It's the actor who's both. I don't know, it's really interesting. Potentially related, though.
Exactly.
Like, his brother's theory is because it's a long-lost brothers thing, but like I said, we'll get to it. So, if you'll hand me the phone that's recording your audio... it's actually very difficult for me to tell what I'm looking at. I can tell, like, some of them, what they are. Like, that's Google Drive, that's Gmail. Anyway, so this is from December 2022.
Okay.
So it's from a MFT. I'm not sure what that exactly stands for. I'm assuming mental something or another. Katie Higgins Lee, apparently. Anyway, so it's updated for December 2022, and this is the Venn diagram I was talking about. Right?
Yeah.
So. It has, the overlapping areas, like a Venn diagram, right, which is the shared traits. So, what you see here is autism, ADHD, something apparently called giftedness, which I've never heard of before. It sounds really fucking stupid when you first see it and hear it, and you're like, that sounds so fucking bullshit, made up. But, I still was looking at it, I'm like, interesting. So... we'll just read off, most of these for at least our sake, and then from there we'll be able to edit it down to key points or whatever. So, the TISM has the whole needing routine, order, and or clear expectations, especially when under stress. Motor skills are impacted, supposedly smooth / stimulated through repetitive behaviors, movements, sounds, and thoughts, or stims. Pattern recognition, preference for direct communication. Very true for me. Goddamn. It actually pisses a lot of people off when they interact with me because I want it to be like exactly direct and like concise. If you don't say exactly what you mean, then it gets really agitating to me sometimes. It's like, just fucking say what you're thinking and what you want to say.
Well, no kidding.
Like, why are you fucking beating around the bush trying to be a politician about it?
Exactly.
Tendency towards concrete thinking / difficult with abstract thinking. Hyper and or hypo awareness of sensory information.
Yeah, that sounds an awful lot like me.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, because probably both of us are going to relate to a lot of these.
Well, no shit.
Hyper and or hypo awareness of sensory information. So hyper being excessively aware, basically, and then hypo being, like, basically don't notice any sensory input or feelings. Preference for interpersonal connection through interests. Tendency to hyper-focus on a few interests for an extended period of time. Hi. Differences in verbal and nonverbal communication and interactions. What's called, apparently, alexithymia, or alexithymia, or thymia. I'm not sure how the heck they want to say that. Probably alexithymia. Which is difficulty identifying and naming feelings, supposedly. ADHD, and its overlap with autism, has interoception differences, which they actually meant to say introspection.
Introspection.
Yes, and they typoed it bad. They said interoception instead of intro. Processing speed impacted, very true for me. Atypical social interactions, also very typically me. Hyperactivity, physical and or mental. When I was a kid, I was literally the proverbial throwing himself off, throwing himself off the walls, hyper. And then as I got older, it went into the mental instead from the physical. So now physically, I don't have like almost any hyperactivity, but mentally, it's all just like crowded in my head. Different perception of time, differences in impulse control, supposedly. Stimming, emotional sensitivity, very true for me. And interest-driven, intensely true for me. Sensory differences. Actually, I just realized I'm in the crossover between giftedness, autism, and ADHD. So I just entered there when I went to emotional sensitivity. Sensory differences, interest-driven, unique ways of learning, intense curiosity, executive function difficulties, divergent/creative thinking, asynchronous development. And then full ADHD is difficulty with transitions due to challenges with switching focus, painfully true for me. Working memory impacted, very true for me. Craving novelty, also pretty true for me. RSD, which is called, apparently it's acronym for rejection sensitive dysphoria, which I've never heard of in my life. And that just sounds so weird to me and kind of almost disturbing. And
so that doesn't sound like me at all, actually.
Differences in regulating attention, hyperfocus when interested, and difficulty focusing when not interested. That could not be more me. Ever since I was the littlest kid. It's still so true for me. That's one of the reasons why I'm like very apprehensive to do jobs, right? Because I'm like, it's going to be a problem. Social interactions affected by impulse control and focus differences. I still don't understand. I despise the passion, the context, or the belief that if you're attention deficit, you have bad impulse controls, or you're very impulsive. I've never experienced that with anybody who's ADHD. Same with myself. It almost feels more Tourette's at that point they're confusing it with, where it would be verbal impulse control. Because that's a literal physical overstimulation impulse that causes Tourette's people to do what they do. Tendency to hyperfocus on a wide range of interests, needing movement, which I also have way too many passion and interests. So.
Yeah.
Needing movement or fidgeting, stimming to aid in focus. Ability to respond quickly in crisis situations as emergencies, which I find to be kind of contradictory. I'm like, how does that work? Especially with the other part, which is the whole difficulty with transitions due to challenges with switching focus. But apparently, not if it's an emergency situation. All of a sudden, you're just like, you instantly act. You know what to do. Hello? What? Crossover between giftedness and ADHD, easily bored. Thinking in metaphor and symbol.
Okay, now that sounds an awful lot like me.
Yeah. Learning in a non-linear manner.
That sounds an awful lot like me. I don't learn in a linear manner at all.
In a linear matter?
Linear manner, sorry.
Linear matter. I don't learn through linear matter at all. It's a little too viscous and thick for me.
Exactly.
Giftedness, a tendency towards abstract thinking, rapid comprehension and or skip thinking.
Yep.
Wide range of interests, early emotional awareness, fascination with theory, awareness of and
that sounds an awful lot like me right there.
Yep. Awareness and need for complexity, Needing interpersonal connection through a shared interest in complexity. Early concern for and ongoing need to explore existential issues. That's much more me. Tendency to make connections across
Wait a minute,
domains.
existential issues?
Yes.
What exactly does that, what is the definition of existential?
So, you know how, this is how I've always gone about it, right? Is that humans are not made to go think existentially, or to do anything existential. That's why humans consistently have existential crises.
Yeah.
And where does that stem from? It's things that are immaterial. It's not physical or concrete. It's not like, oh, my brain can familiarize itself with this, therefore it accepts this as plausible and or as true. Human brains tend to auto-reject things as impossible if it's not that way. That would be traditional thinking or concrete. Existential otherwise is without any concrete or material.
So I'll be straight with
attachments
you.
or
I'll be straight with you. The fact is that that actually sounds an awful lot like me.
Yeah.
I mean, basically.
Well, both that and the hyper concrete as well.
Yeah.
A concrete material. Yeah.
Well,
sure.
okay. So being straightforward here, the fact is when it comes to what was it called, concrete thinking and stuff like that, I have that in that regard. But basically, when it comes to Torah observance, I've been able to apply at least 3 different definitions through what was it called, one specific command, essentially in Hebrew. So basically, that's the reasoning by which I can focus on existentialism and say, okay, this is plausible. I can see worldviews, essentially.
Right.
So, yeah.
So yeah, needing interpersonal connection through shared interest and complexity, needing intellectually stimulating or mental challenges, tendency to predict consequences and foresee problems, tendency to make connections across domains. So that's all of them across the whole Venn diagram of the board.
So here's a brief example of what it is that I'm talking about here. Let me show you something here.
No.
Yes.
Absolutely not. You're not allowed. You're not permitted. You didn't ask my persimmon or my permission.
Okay. Something that is my biggest gripe. We're going to go to Deuteronomy. I'm just going to read the English. And this is by far the thing that pisses me off, okay?
Yep.
Deuteronomy 22, verse 5. A woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that it do so is an abomination unto Hashem your Elohim. Now, I'm going to show you something here that's going to irk you. Lo yihye kili givar. Explicitly meaning they will not put on the apparatus of a warrior upon a woman, and a warrior shall not put on the clothing of a woman.
Right.
Now, here's
no
the other...
cross-dressing.
Well, hang on. That word kili can mean clothing. Yeah. That's not all that it means.
Right.
It can also mean a warrior's, what was it called? Like their armor, perhaps, or it can mean their clothing, or it goes on and on.
You said warrior's clothing, basically, or in other words, what a warrior would wear.
Exactly.
Which is different timelines differed, and different cultures differed, but for the most part, it had some semblance of armor.
It can mean that, actually.
Yeah.
In fact, it's actually used within the context of word for clothing here is actually used specifically of what was it called, metal instruments as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
rude. Sorry, my sunglasses assaulted me.
Basically, I've been able to apply at least 2 or 3 different definitions through this command in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like, a soldier shall not put on the clothing of a woman, and also a woman shall not put on the soldier's stuff, or clothing and so on and so forth. Ultimately, the point that I'm getting at is it. Some people, they don't like that about me, that I can see both worldviews.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. I figured that was the long way about going about saying that. But anyway, and then of course, as you can see on the right-hand side, that's the reformed, the reformed version. That's the alternate version that somebody else made graphically.
Yeah.
So it's the one thing I like about this, right? Which is another point I wanted to talk about because it was super interesting to see this on Threads, which is where I got this from, and see how all these people that are a combination of any of the above, but especially the ones that are a combination of autism and either of them or all three.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone collectively adores this one the most by far. Whereas me and my brain, I strongly prefer that one. The only thing that I like about this one better, realistically, is the typeface, right?
Yeah.
It's bigger, it's bolder, it's more clear and concise. You know what I mean? You don't have to like zoom in, right, to like properly read and look at and read each of them off like the Venn diagram you do.
Asynchronous development.
Yeah.
What is that?
Asynchronous, and you're not in sync. So in other words, it's not like you don't keep a consistent pace or tempo. So in order to develop kind of at your own pace, and it can vary. It's a variable pace of development, yeah. So, and that would be specifically referring to like learning.
Unique ways of learning, intense curiosity, executive function, difficulties, divergence / creative thinking. You see, right here, this is where I think I would fall. Right there.
In the very center.
In the very center.
Which means that you would have all three. Even though when you read just the ADHD part went out, you were saying that you actually didn't feel like that would fit you at all. Which is actually very funny. But the moment it crossed over with giftedness and also autism, you're like, yes. So that would mean you still have at least some semblance of attention deficit of some kind.
Well, no kidding.
You just don't realize it, or I guess.
No kidding.
But like for me, I feel like 90% of those on each of them fit perfectly. You know, like it's just kind of interesting to look at. But like in terms of the whole term of giftedness, I've never heard of that before. But that's another thing else I wanted to touch on is like how do you feel about that name for something? Because I personally hate it.
Giftedness?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I think it's stupid.
Yeah, I personally hate it a lot as a name because it's just like
it implies one thing.
Well, it feels like, you know, the whole like they're trying to be all PC about it and be like considerate to the feelings of these people. But in the process, whenever people do that, it actually becomes way more offensive than not. Because it's like, just fucking say what it is rather than trying to be all dainty about it. Like, you're not trying to stomp on flowers. Like, we're not fragile people. Just fucking say it, you know? Like,
no shit!
Why do you have to go and, like, say, it's because you're gifted, you have giftedness. While it's also technically in the mental health care field. Like, fuck you. It's about function, and you're like, let's call it gifted, because you're a special boy. You know, and it's just like that. It's literally, it's akin to the whole special versus special. And everyone knows what being special means.
Special!
And it's obviously derogatory most of the time, or not good.
No
It's like, you're a special boy, meaning that you have really severe issues. You're very off.
Yeah, you're in a strange, bad area, dude.
You're a strange, problematic child. Which is why I actually like using it facetiously for myself, because it's like I technically am special. So thank you. I like that because it's a mocking, and I like a mocking better than I like the actual appeasement attempt.
Well,
you know. So that's why I personally hate the giftedness thing, because it's like, what the fuck would you call it though?
No shit.
Because it seems like maybe that just belongs to the prior two, and they're just trying to branch out to make people feel or become more accepting, quote unquote, and feel like, oh,
Well,
it's because
dude, even more so. In the giftedness area, I'm able to notice details as well. So,
right.
I wouldn't be surprised if I'm like right there in the center area between all three. So,
yeah, which. For me, I wouldn't be in the center, I'd be all of it.
Exactly!
I'd just be all of the above.
What the heck?
I wouldn't be the flower in the center, I'd be...
No.
I'd be all three circles and the flower. I am everything, I am existence in the universe itself, I am God. Whichever way you interpret it. But,
Inside joke.
I suppose so, yeah. I didn't think of it that way. But, yeah, but see, like... And let us know in the comments also, like, what you think, like, which one you prefer, because...
No kidding.
Like, I would like to be able to see that, because, like I said, when I first saw this post on Threads with this, pretty much everybody that was anywhere in this quote-unquote spectrum collectively says that they strongly prefer the redesign on the right. I really like the original left Venn diagram better. And like, I am very biased to colorfulness.
Quite frankly,
and
I like that because
I like that it's less
to the point.
I also like it's less organized on the original rather than the redesign is far more organized.
I like this because it's very straight and to the point.
He's referring to the Venn diagram, the originals. Yeah, which is funny because I have a feeling that's probably why most people were saying they preferred the redesign, because they feel like it's more straight to the point and obvious and concise. But I'm like, it's a lot more noise on the left, on the original one. It's very noisy, whereas the right one is very, I would say, sterile. Right, sterile or sterile. Like, genuinely, when you look at this, doesn't that just look like something that would be on a poster that they'd have in a doctor's office or a mental health physician's office or in a school?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just feels very sterile. I just found that to be interesting, though, because you're the only one that I've really seen that would agree with me. It seems like I'm not the original being better than the redesign, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's just something that's really interesting to me. You know, like, I don't understand why. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, am I the weird one?
Dude.
That did not stay put, and I'm kind of sad. It ejected itself from existence. It's like, I refuse to be
Whee! I fly! Fly!
Fly! That's actually a reference to a game.
But I guess part of the reasoning why I like the Venn diagram is it's, you don't really know what is nearby the other, what character traits are close to
exactly, yeah. It makes it more, I guess, involved, because you have to almost zoom in and look at it and interact with it and be like, okay, this is kind of cool. So it's kind of like looking at a map or something that you haven't looked at before. It's curiosity, basically.
I mean, when it comes to the Venn diagram, it's very, what is it called? It lets you know, basically, what character traits are close by one another, and also what, where a person can easily fit amongst all three.
Well, yeah, exactly, which is even better than the square box or the rectangle
box.
boxes.
No kidding.
I feel like, yes, you can see in the middle, it still technically does the overlap thing, but I don't like it. They did actually move some of these, though, over into a different box. I noticed, like, 2 of them at least, and they were both from ADHD, I think, got shifted over into different boxes than the Venn has, which I find to be a bit weird, because this was just a graphic designer that redesigned it. Who has some of it, and they're just like, I'm gonna pretend I'm qualified to shift these over, you know? So I think it also goes to show that, like, I'm not the only one who doesn't like the spectrum that much, because the spectrumization, I guess you could say, of everything, or the ism of everything, because everything's became a spectrum, and it just gets so fucking confusing, especially if you're one of the people in the mental health, you know, getting mental health care of any kind, whether it's cognitive, so it's autism based, or it's, you know, learning based, or it's, you know, emotionally based, trauma based, whatever. Like, you get these descriptions applied to you, these labels, you know. But then nobody, even the experts usually, you'll discover the more you go through, the more they don't agree with each other.
Exactly.
And yet they all have the official research that backs them up. And it's like, well, then that means that even the official researchers who backed it, who did the research and put the official studies also can't agree with each other.
Well, no kidding.
Which means that you could just admit that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're
exactly.
clueless. You have a vague idea like the rest of us, and that's it.
Well,
you know?
all right, so let's just put it this way. The reasoning by which we can actually assert that whole case is the fact that whenever you have a case that is, basically one specific group that it theorizes one thing, and another, and then another, and then another. There's no cohesion between the two.
Right.
There's no cohesion between the two, and therefore it's a dispute between the two.
Right.
There's no 100% legitimate fact.
Yeah, it's one of those things also with the mental health field that really frustrates me, which is one of the things I actually kind of wanted to talk about. I hoped it would lead into, and it did. We're kind of bypassing some of the other things, more specific things I want to talk about on the chart, but that's fine. Because, like, for me, what's really frustrating, the spectrumization, if you will, of everything mental health, is the fact that, like, when I was a kid, right? Because my family has a ton of mental illness in it, and it's dominated by schizoaffective disorder. And you think it would be just simple to be able to say what that is.
Yeah.
But my family proves it's not, because even to this day, there's what I've always called, and what I've grown up to know as East Coast versus West Coast philosophy in mental health in the U.S. So East Coast teaches what my cousins and my aunt's, therefore, family has always been told by their psychiatrists and therapists and everybody else, which is that schizoaffective, I can't even remember what it is. It's just one of the most, like, frustratingly ambiguous and confusing fucking, like, kind of like how people describe being queer. It's like, in other words, you have no fucking clue what the hell you're saying. You don't even know what it is. You don't even barely have a vague idea. You basically could just say you're confused, and that would actually be the most accurate and apt way to put it. Is that you're just confused. Because, like, or your brain is confused, if it's, in this case, schizoaffective, because, like, what the hell did you just describe to me, you know?
Exactly.
Which my cousin Finn, who I absolutely love to hell him back, has tried to tell me multiple times how to frustrate her own frustration, because, again, she knows what she knows, and her whole family, her whole life, and herself has always been told, because she's schizoaffective, that's what schizoaffective is whatever the fuck this weird, ambiguous mess of word salad is. Whereas on the West Coast philosophy in the United States, which is what my side of the family has always gone through for all of us, and I was misdiagnosed, and we know that now through my therapist currently, and even my prior physician, actually my current physician told me, the first time I was there, she's like, you, as far as I can tell, you also have exhibited zero signs of any kind that you would ever have had schizoaffective, or you do. Plus, from what we've always known about even back then, it's kind of a childhood-only thing, supposedly. Well, obviously that's not true, because my whole family still has it very bad. My eldest brother, Nathan, who would be 44, I believe. No, he'd be 40... He'd be 46 this year. He, whether he's alive or not, right? Let's say he is. He would still have very severe schizoaffective disorder.
Yeah.
Like, egregious, almost crippling levels, where he has to be so heavily medicated for it. Same with my cousins on my other side on that side of the family with the East Coast philosophy. So what ours have always told us, and his have always told us, and mine always told us, and everyone else in our family has always been told on our branch, or our half of it, right? is that schizoaffective disorder is simple. What it is it's schizophrenia with bipolar disorder, or vice versa. So in other words, you could also say the reverse. You could say it's bipolar disorder with schizophrenic symptomology. So in other words, basically you have both, is technically what it is. It's like a hybrid. And so, you know, my brother Nathan had what I was diagnosed, the form I was diagnosed with, which was bipolar mania.
Yeah.
And schizoaffective disorder, or schizophrenia. And it was dominantly considered schizophrenic when I was really little, and later got flipped. Probably kind of proving, again, it was not obviously accurate. And then my brother Nathan has always had it dominated by schizophrenia. So it's just one of those things where, again, you see that and you're like, okay. So even to this very day, no experts, none of the researchers, nobody still can agree on what the fuck it even is. Apparently. They're still at war with each other. All the experts, which is just ridiculously frustrating. And then imagine putting yourself in that shoe, the person's shoes, who has to go with that diagnosis to these different doctors, and maybe they eventually have to get a new one, and now they're being told the opposite, or they're being told something completely different. You know how intensively agitating that is? How overwhelming that is? How much that could actually trigger a psychotic break itself?
Yes!
Because you're overwhelming their mind, you're overwhelming them, and it's already a struggle, and now you're making it worse, because now you're telling them, no, they lied to you, it wasn't that, it's this. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about?
This doesn't, you're just confusing me, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Does this mean that you're confused? And that you guys, none of you guys know what the hell it is even really pertains to? Because you're obviously going to tell me it's me that's confused, but obviously I'm not, so like, I mean, I'm confused, but not because of, I'm confused there, I'm confused because of this, you know? And then, like, that can go into the whole bipolar thing, because bipolar disorder keeps being reclassified over and over and over again over the last, like, 20 years. It's bounced between, it's like cycling between these fucking things, where it's either bipolar 1 and 2, so bipolar depression, bipolar mania, or it's a spectrum all over again, and now there's so many different forms of bipolar, supposedly, or it's somewhere in between, basically, and they say there's like 4 different forms of bipolar.
What the hell?
And actually, now that I think about it, I didn't think about this until now, ironically, it's in the fucking name that there can really only be 2. Bi. Literally means 2. Because there's only 2 polarities in your brain in the first place, right and left. 2 hemispheres, so... What?
Wow.
It's just, it's fucking ridiculously stupid, you know? And yeah, that's why 1 and 2, and I don't remember which, because I'm too dyslexic, I never can keep track of if bipolar depression is 1 or if it's 2, and thus vice versa. But either way, bipolar depression and mania are therefore, that's why they're also opposites. That's why it would be easy to diagnose, because if you have the depressive, it's going to be obvious, because you're going to have a lot of depression symptoms and problems, right? And you're going to have exactly the opposite problem of somebody with mania. Who's also, therefore, if they have mania, they're much more likely to also be schizophrenic or psychotic, because they're manic. They don't sleep enough, you know?
Exactly.
Or they can't sleep at all because they're in such a manic episode, you know? And that's why also, back in the day, calling it manic depression didn't make any fucking sense, because that's not how that works.
Well,
and also, we know now that that would be unipolar. Because usually unipolar, though, means is that you're way more severe than a bipolar depressive or bipolar manic person is. But it can also mean that you just literally have such severe swings, so deep into depression and then so deep into the high of mania, that you have both, and therefore it's unipolar. And that's really the worst form of it to have. But it goes into, again, the whole spectrum issue. And again, the fact that they can never agree, and therefore it keeps cycling through each of the 3 different versions of it they considered. So, right now, it's in this flux between all 3. So right now, you're seeing all 3 being talked about and mentioned equally by people across, at least in the US, because either all equally considered true right now, because they're in the process of the cycling through to the next one. And recently I saw it must have been a spectrum. I think it was what it was. It was exiting. It's either entering or it's exiting the spectrum. I believe.
Wow.
Again. But it's just super frustrating. And again, it's because you have to put yourself in the shoes of the person or the people that are going to the mental health physicians for the help, that have these diagnoses, who are basically just being fucked and toyed with in the head.
Sheesh.
The entire time.
That's fucked,
being pulled through a fucking tug of war like they're I don't know, fucking... You know, a blouse going through an Oregon Trail fucking washboard, you know, just ripping it through. And it's just like, but why do that? You're just going to make them more unhealthy and worse.
Exactly.
And more erratic or unstable or unhappy.
You're going to fuck with their heads, dude.
But you're not going to. You are fucking with them. You know, and that's why it actually pisses me off.
I don't blame you.
It doesn't just, like, make me really frustrated. It actually pisses me off, and it comes from a very personal place, because not only do I have all that family that's in that position, I have myself.
Yeah.
You know, especially as a kid. And my childhood in mental health therapy really made probably one of the biggest impacts on my brain and myself and how I feel and react to things of anything in my life.
So,
because
dude,
of how negative of
I
an
will be
impact
straight
it
with you,
has.
man. I actually have a lot of trauma in this area as well.
Yeah.
The way that it was characterized in in elementary school was I ended up having my own issues in the head, essentially.
Yeah.
Basically, mocked, toyed with, and stuff like that. And basically, all around, made fun of quite often.
Yep.
Because I was the slow one. Quote unquote.
Slow.
Yeah. Supposedly had an 80 IQ and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays I find out that is a load of bull.
Yep.
So basically, I'll be straight with you. I literally have a complex whenever people challenge the worldviews that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I literally have a complex about it because it makes me feel like, okay, that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It takes me back to that time period.
Me and him can relate on that at a pretty deep level because I can get hyper, like, honey badger mom-esque about my hyper defensiveness, and I'm in a very aggressive offensive type of defense where it's like
exactly
I will just about eviscerate you sadistically if I feel like cornered enough where you're gonna fucking challenge me.
Exactly.
And I know I shouldn't feel that way, and I know it's something trauma-based, but it just pisses the fuck out of me because it's like all I've ever known growing up was being invalidated constantly by everyone around me. Or told I didn't know what I was talking about, or whatever else, and then also being told I was a know-it-all at the same time, and that pissed me off more. And it's like, what? Because you can't be both. And it's like, well, fuck you then, you know. Like,
well, dude, even more so.
And I still experience that actually a lot to this day, especially with my siblings. But.
Well, even more so when it comes to that stuff. Even more so, the fact is, I've got people coming to me for my opinions on biblical Hebrew grammar and stuff like that, and so basically, it literally, so whenever people challenge me on that stuff, ooh boy, I will eviscerate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I will freaking eviscerate you and destroy your worldview.
Yeah.
Unless I get basically the fact is when it comes to that stuff, you don't go to a mechanic and say they don't know their job for crying out loud.
Well, then again...
No, you don't. Period.
No. Remember what I found out yesterday?
Yeah.
Kind of says actually you could argue
Okay.
That's why I said that. It's like, well, then again...
Okay, I will grant that. For crying out loud.
Because I could fucking see that there's made some pretty dangerous damage to my fucking car right in eye line for after you take off the fucking wheel to replace it. And,
well, no kidding.
Or you have it on a lift and nobody says anything? Yeah, fuck you.
Exactly. What the hell?
No. But it's not their line of business. It's not collision repair. Fuck you. You don't need to be a specialist to say that. If you have integrity, you're gonna fucking point it out immediately. Be like, hey,
exactly.
We can't do anything about this, but we need you to, we want you to know out of courtesy that there is dents in your shock and there's dents in your spring coil, for your suspension, and also it's your inside of your tire is rubbing against the frame. So it's obviously therefore means that something is bent up and in from the collision. So you need to get that. That's going to be some pretty major repairs, and it's also a risk to drive it very much. So, just so you know, because it's a basic courtesy.
No kidding!
It's common sense. If you actually have some self-respect for your business and what you're doing, and also for your customer, you're gonna fucking tell them that. As soon as you spot it, be like, hey, dude, it's worse than you think. There's actually more damage here. You're probably gonna have more work done. It's gonna be pretty expensive.
Well, no kidding.
But, no. That didn't happen. So, that's why I said that.
Well, no kidding.
It's well, then again, because, look at what happened.
Yeah.
People are assholes. That
people
proves
are dumb.
Again, it proves how arrogant and or dickish people tend to be. Because, why would you do that? Why would you withhold that and be like, I'm going to pretend I didn't see anything just because it's not my specific profession? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So yes, you can technically argue against a
Okay, you
professional.
can. But for crying out loud, okay.
I'm a semantic, pedantic piece of shit, so he should...
You are!
He should have fucking expected this.
Yes! Okay. But for crying out loud, pal... I'm gonna do this, pal. I'm gonna destroy you now.
We can get away with doing it to each other, though.
Yeah. So I'm gonna destroy you now, man. The fact is that didn't you have another specialist point that out to you?
No.
Oh, dang!
Nobody did. I was the one who pointed it out to myself when I took the wheel
wow.
yesterday. So
okay, that destroys my worldview.
Yeah. So I could try to bend in with a vice grip the damage to the fucking bodywork.
Wow. So that destroys my worldview. Dang.
Yep. So another thing is a lot of times, especially when you have a good enough relationship with people who have the same kind of thing going on, you actually are almost like you almost enjoy being able to try to like pick on each other for it, you know. And I think it's also because we're intelligent and like aware enough, self-aware enough that it's not a healthy thing to harbor or to react like that.
Well, no kidding.
Like we know why we do it. We know it's because we sincerely, intensively believe.
But dude,
we know.
Exactly, we know it.
But yeah, and therefore everyone else is technically wrong, and they will always be wrong to us, and nobody will make us budge from that stance. It is a hill we die on. But at the same time.
Exactly.
Technically, it's not healthy to be that way.
But for crying out loud, okay, so, dude, I mean, the fact of the matter is...
Wrong!
I mean, I hate getting challenged from people who have consistently stated over and over...
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're an idiot.
Or worse than that, they have stated that I know more about the language than they do.
Yeah, and yet somehow you're still wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be a different kind of agitating. It would be like,
oh, dude, that just sends me.
I feel like
to the moon.
That's almost like they're trying to piss you off.
Exactly, they're trying to piss you off.
If they sincerely mean it, if they argue back, they're like, "No, I'm not." It's like, well, how?
Exactly.
You have to now explain to me in the most grievous excess detail every last possible reason that makes logical sense as to how that wasn't meant to piss me off. Because that takes a certain level of egotism.
Exactly! That is egotism.
To tell the person they genuinely know more than you do about it, but they're still wrong to you, even though you literally in the same sentence said to them, you know a lot more about this than I do, or you know more about this than I do, you're more knowledgeable. However, you're still wrong. How can you say that? Because you just admitted you're basically clueless compared to that person. Yet you now have the authority to still tell them that they're wrong, though?
Wow!
Like, yeah, if you want to get semantic and pedantic about it, you could break it down further and be like, well, maybe they have the official knowledge in that specific aspect to it. Like, you do know more than them, but this thing that they're saying you're wrong about is because they do know that. But it's like, yeah, but then that puts the problem for both of us where we get more pissed off and get more agitated by it or triggered because it's like, well, no, we do know that they're wrong.
Yeah, well, we do know they're wrong.
And we are right. And then
exactly.
You're being an idiot. You know, and like the average person, I feel like, especially in the United States, especially if you're Gen X through Millennial, you especially get pissed off and driven nuts by people who you want to have enough self-respect to be able to fucking realize they are fucking being stupid. You know?
Exactly!
And they just refuse it, you know? And it's
they just utterly refuse it!
It's like, it's not because we're doing that because we're owning you, it's because we're actually more pissed off because you are that stupid, and we know you should have more intelligence than that. More capability, for fuck's sake.
Use your brain, for crying out loud,
Hello,
and have some self-respect!
Hello, McFly, anyone home?
Yeah, is anyone home?
Just milk. Chocolate. For context, by the way, when I reference the counter and the mechanic thing, you don't question a mechanic, is because I got in an accident with in the last month. I think it was probably just about damn near exactly a month ago. Maybe it is exactly a month ago. Literally right outside my own damn apartment. And somebody was going full speed and slammed into my passenger rear quarter panel. And it eviscerated my wheel and my tire. Went to this incredibly respected and loved tire place. And they are very diligent. They're very great about their work. They're very quick. They're very knowledgeable. You know, they are genuinely great in that sense. But they literally had to take off the wheel, obviously, to replace it. And the wheel was off my car for like an hour. And, you know, they're right down there. They take it off. They look at it. I even had them look at it. I saw him bend down and look. And he says, oh, yeah, no, everything's fine. Like, all you're going to need is you just need to have a complete wheel replacement because the valve has also been eviscerated in the wheel and for the tire. So that's got to be replaced. And obviously, you're getting a tire replacement with that. And then you're going to need a realignment for sure. But that's basically it. You'll be good to go. Reaffirmed that with them. Okay, great. Schedule a realignment at another local one-stop mom and pop that's really well reviewed, incredibly well reviewed and trusted local. And so I went there for that appointment. They had it up on a lift, like, 7-8 feet in the air for a long time. And I'm talking like probably at least an hour and a half, and they kept putting it back up and down, up and down. They did, of course, the realignment. That's what they specialize in, and they actually replaced the two front trailing arms. I believe it was something along that line in the front because they were basically dead and they were about to basically just fall apart. And so they had to replace that before they could do alignment. They did alignment. Basically told me that the rear was already pretty much perfectly aligned. So, and they showed me in the charting that it does, the automatic charting that it automatically prints out a report of how bad the alignments might be. It was really just the front that was badly aligned. So they realigned that after they replaced those, and they said, yeah, no, we checked, we did a courtesy, we checked pretty much through everything else, and you're good to go. And again, I told both places that obviously it was an accident. And they said, yeah, now that you got your alignment, you should be perfectly good to go. It should last you a long time. Okay, great. Everything's great. We didn't see anything that was cause for concern. Both places said that specifically, verbatim. We don't see anything that would be cause for concern of any kind of damage or anything like that. Yesterday, I went to take off my wheel so I could get enough space so I could actually use my vice grip to bend in the bodywork from the impact of the accident back into the wheel well so that it doesn't keep shaving off the apex between the treads and the wall of my new tire. And this was like at a high, sharp angle, and I could immediately see that there was a dent in my shock and there was a dent in the suspension spring at the head of it. And then there was rubbing going on the frame because it was just like, look, the brand new chrome, and that should not happen in an undercarriage of a wheel well. But yeah, so the point being is that that's the context behind that reference to the whole encounter with the mechanic, because, yeah. And, if you can't tell, I feel some kind of way about it.
Yeah.
I swear, lately, the last month, it's been, if not, the case of what my grandma always said, which is on my mom's side, which is that if it's not one thing, it's another.
Exactly.
Another version of when it rains, it pours. There's always something else that's going to happen. Once you finally start to get a breather and a respite, you finally start to accept a negative or, at least a change that feels negative to you because you don't like it or whatever, or it's uncomfortable, and you just come to finally start to adapt and accept it, all of a sudden, life throws another piece of shit at you, and it's like right in your fucking mouth. Force feeds you a pile of shit, and you're like, fuck you. It's so fucking stupid, dude. It's like, the other people are like, but it's character building, it makes you stronger. Technically, yes, but also fuck you. It's just stupid. Like, you think at some point life would stop bullying you and finally be like, okay, you've gone through these trials enough, like, you've built enough character and armor, like, you're good to go. It's like, now I'm gonna beat you even harder.
I'm gonna beat you even harder.
Now I'm gonna do even worse things to you. like, thanks. Piece of shit.
So, in a roundabout way, though, man, it is true, though. I mean, I was basically, compared to where I was at about 20 or so years ago, man, life has gotten a whole lot better since.
Yeah, well, also, you know, I'm 30 fucking 2. Things haven't really changed too much for me, unfortunately, so.
Trust me, they will.
Yeah, I hope so, but like, you know, before 40 especially. If I can do it like latest like 35, that'd be optimal.
Well, no kidding.
Because then I'd still have most of my life to be able to actually build into my dreams. And
Exactly. Well, no shit.
All the things I've always planned and wanted to do with myself and my wife. And
Yeah.
You know, including obviously building a family eventually.
Well, no kidding.
But first, obviously living on my own.
Exactly.
For quite a while, because I've never had that experience in my life either.
No kidding.
I've always had to live with somebody, and it's always been a family member of some kind, so I still am. 32 years on, and I'm still stuck living with somebody, you know? And I'm such an autonomous kind of person, I'm such a freedom craver, that it's just like, the moment that happens, I'm probably just gonna isolate myself from the world for a few months, just to really...
I don't blame you, man.
Really drink it in and appreciate it, and be like, this is amazing! And then, eventually slowly let in, like, my closest people, which is a tiniest little inner circle currently. It basically doesn't exist almost. And, you know, slowly open up as slowly as possible. Basically, you know what actually a great apt equivalent and comparison is? I'd be like a fucking trillium.
Trillium.
Because those bloom only once every 7 years.
Huh.
And that's why they, like, never pick or step on a trillium flower, or a plant, because if you do, it will not bloom for another 7 years. It takes so fucking long. Or like if you want to go gestation periods for, in the grand scheme, a smaller animal, think about an orange ruffy, which is a fish, an ocean fish. Those things take 8 years to get to sexual maturity and be able to reproduce. And yet they still somehow are legal for commercial fishing to catch. It's illegal for everyday people to catch them and keep them, but commercial fishing can catch them and sell them. Because reasons, you know, that makes total sense. So, yeah, I guess kind of it would be like, I would be like that in that situation, I think. It's just like, really savor it before I'm finally opening back up again and being like, okay, now, you know. But see, that's what I think about in that regard, why I say like 5, no more than, you know, and I guess it would be 3 years, because say that takes, like, I take a full, like, 1.5 or 2 years for that. Now I gotta have the years to get to know somebody, you know, hopefully my forever one and only, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Mi corazón. And then I can... Mi corazón? Mi corazón. And then I can, my heart. And then I can go and eventually get together with her and then finally build a family.
Exactly.
But, you know, again, because of my age, you know, again, people are always they only default to like, oh, well, guys pretty much are eternally fertile, whereas women, you know, they lose their fertility at 50. It's like, yeah, there you go. That's the point of emphasis, is their age. Because, like, you know, the older I get, you know what I mean? Because then the younger I might have to start, like, restricting my search, so to speak, or not my search, but, you know, my relationship to build a family with, and I hate that concept, you know? Because I'm like, I don't like that idea. I want to make sure that it's somebody... Like, do I care as much as most people do about age? Not necessarily. But it's just that it's literally the family aspect that I'm concerned about. Because, like, I also don't want to get to a point where we're both so much older that, you know, we're 40 when we have our first kid, and we have, like, you know, say 2-3 kids, and they're maybe a couple of years apart.
Yeah.
You know, now by the time they're 18, you're in your 60s, you know, just about your 60s, you know what I mean? Because that would be weird, I think, for them. Obviously, as you could tell, probably just before, right? Mm-hmm. I emphasized one and only. So, like, I am very much monogamous-minded type of person.
Exactly.
I'm a very big, like, you know, I guess you could say very hyper-sentimental, touchy-feely kind of monogamistic type of mind person, where it's like, once you find your true, you know, soulmate, whatever you want to call them, you know, kindred spirit.
Exactly.
You're committed to them for life, you know what I mean? Like, that's you're meant for that. That's what I feel like in a way. So, I almost would say for me, it's kind of almost sacred. In a way. I feel it's very sacred.
Yeah.
And there's like almost nothing for me that feels truly sacred, you know?
Yeah.
Because it usually has a religious connotation. But, like, that's one thing that does.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I want to also... I'm very old school minded in that sense where it's like... And I hate that's old school considered that.
Well, no kidding.
But, you know, you take your goddamn... You take as much time as you can, pretty much, to really make sure you build a relationship together, and starting at friendship.
Yeah.
You very slowly, baby steps, you know, Bill Wiley baby steps to the office.
Yeah.
Baby steps out the office door. Baby steps to the staircase.
Yes.
Baby steps down the staircase.
Yes.
You know, because it's true though. You want to take it as slow burning as possible, so you can really make sure you get to know each other deeply, and you really also can truly forge that deep bond and connection. And then slowly over time, you always also want to make sure you consistently communicate to each other, like, your intentions or, like, where you feel you're at in your relationship.
Well,
so,
okay.
whether it's you or the other person, or it's both of you at the same time who sit down to talk with each other, so you can see where they're at in their relationship, whether it's, say it's the start of friendship, then eventually, you know, you have that sit and talk about that to see if you're ready to take the next step, which would be to enter into dating. And then you take your jolly time with that until you've really done that enough for, like, say, a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, or whenever you feel you're ready, you know, your heart, your spirit, your soul, whatever you want to call it, says you're ready for this, you know.
Yeah.
Then you sit each other down, you talk about it again, and then if you still feel like you're forging a deeper, more meaningful connection and bond, then you obviously take that next step. You would agree to take that next step because you're ready for it and you both want it. And that is to take the next step forward to then become, you know, significant others, right? To be
exactly.
boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. And then obviously if you believe in marriage or you want marriage, then that would be the next progressive step after that. Which is actually funny because he also said marriage too. To me, I don't really believe in marriage. I think it's just an institutional and symbolic piece of shit. It's irrelevant, it's stupid, it's annoying, it's another way for them to just tax the hell out of you and track you, you know? And I hate that so fucking much.
I'll be straight with you, man. The concept of marriage today, I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
When it comes to marriage, though, in the first century and before, I actually do believe it. Basically, the concept of it was that a threshold covenant, which is basically a legal means by which a person joined a family. It was sort of akin to common law, essentially. When they wrote a contract and so on and so forth, and there was basically a ceremony by which they joined your proverbial household and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. Again, the ceremony aspect is also irrelevant to me because it's just symbolic. And I'm like, I get, especially for something that important, I kind of get the idea of it, but, like, I'd almost want it to be more intimate and private between the two, rather than, like, necessarily involving family or friends or whatever, because it's like, I don't like the event aspect to it, necessarily. I say that because, like, sometimes I've usually it's inadvertent because I've never intentionally gone out of my way to, like, watch a wedding ceremony. Yeah. But, like, every time I've unintentionally came across one, and it's, whether it's real or it's a fake one, I always fucking cry. I really do. I always cry because I guess I'm, like, hyper sentimental. And I'm like, oh my god. Like, I feel like I'm one of those fucking cliche women, you know, who's gonna sit there with a fucking whole quart and a half of ice cream and just eat it all. So sweet. You're like, oh my god, I wish I had that for myself.
Yeah.
Why is this so good?
Exactly.
Oh god, I'm out of ice cream. Like, no, why is it like so mean to me? You know, so, I don't know, just like, you know, seriously, I'm like always like, it's so sweet. You know, like, I try so hard to fight it, I just can't. I'm like, god damn it, why? You know, like, it's gross how just wonderful this is, and I'm offended. You know, like,
exactly.
You've made me cry, you asshole.
Dickbag.
How dare you be in love? That's probably going to end in divorce in about a year and a half by modern day standards. It's actually pretty much standards.
Exactly.
And then probably someone's going to die because the kids are going to suddenly become commodities rather than living beings. Aren't people great?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, set that aside. Yeah, so, you know, that's kind of my mentality around a relationship, too. Plus, like, I wouldn't 100% necessarily be against some sort of, I guess, symbolic gesture together with my significant other ceremony, especially if she really did want it. But I wouldn't exactly personally prefer it. But I would probably be willing to give way, at least to an extent.
Yeah.
Like, especially if we could come to a compromise where it's somewhere in the middle. Maybe it's not the full, you know, marriage ceremony and shit with the certificates and the fucking, you know, justice of the peace or whoever the fuck else has to supposedly be there as an ordained person. Like, you know. But, like, because I've always thought about it kind of like, what if... Because, you know, like, the whole symbology behind, like, a ring is the fact that it's to indicate to other people or potential suitors that, oh, this person is taken. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I get that. I don't know. I kind of, like... To me, I'm like, if we did something, what I would want to do is I wanted to make it unique to us. And I've always kind of liked the idea of, like, weirdly an anklet. Like, just have a handmade, custom-made, homemade anklet.
Yeah, in ancient times, you know what it was?
I would think that would be kind of cool.
In ancient times, there was a nose ring and bracelets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bracelet is the other thing I thought of, but, like, bracelets are, I don't know, they're not as unique. That's why I like the idea of the anklet, because, like, a lot of people don't. Even throughout time, a lot of times anklets just were never really popular.
Well, no kidding.
People chose bracelets and necklaces over those almost every time. Even chokers have always been way more popular than anklets for some reason, so I thought anklet would be kind of cool. I don't know, I think that would be awesome. You know, and maybe a necklace, too. Because necklaces are kind of cool, though. So, and then that would make it even more obvious outwardly to other people. Like, oh, well, that, you know, like, make it look also important. So it's like, oh, cool, clearly you guys have something that looks like it matches.
Yeah.
And that you are together, and that it does look important. So, but I don't see any rings. Is that, like, your commitment to it? Yes, that's what it is. It's our version, our custom version of a ring, basically. Because we wanted to make it so that we weren't doing the typical institutionalization of bullshit. But at the same time, we still had something that was personal to us.
Yeah.
You know, that we wanted. So, but anyway, next topic.
This topic, actually, so the topic of, well, basically, what I was bringing up beforehand, polygamy, is actually run along the same lines of the separate topic, i.e. Christian doctrine.
Right. Except we were going to specifically talk about two people rather than the actual Pentecostal / charismatic stuff. I'm sure it will naturally come up. But
well, no kidding.
So, we're going to put it up on screen for you because I got the screenshot from the video specifically.
Exactly.
And then I also, of the article, the headline that this guy used and took out. And then I saved two different photos of the other person. Now, the people we're talking about is John G. Lake.
Yes.
That's part of the whole Pentecostal charismatic foundation and movement. And then the other
is Warren G. Harding.
Yes, former president for 2 years before he croaked in office.
Exactly.
Warren G. Harding. And if you look at your screen right now, you'll notice something that I kind of noticed. Except if you think about it, I only saw the John Lake. I almost said Warren G. Lake. Look at you do it. See, that was unintentional too. That's how fucking painfully similar these guys are. I only saw the picture of John G. Lake in his car for that article, right?
Exactly.
That headline that he had in his presentation he was doing in his video. I only saw that one. So the one on your left, that's what I saw. And I paused the video there, and I smiled, and I looked at Shaun, and I nudged him. I actually physically nudged him, and I said, "Who does that guy look like? Which former president does he look like?"
I said FDR.
He took quite a while, then eventually said, I was thinking FDR. And what's funny is I immediately told him, I'm like, well, I figured you'd say that, because almost anybody with that time period thinks FDR by default, even if it's not contextually correct to think, oh, they look similar.
Yeah.
Because obviously it didn't, and I think you would have realized that when I pointed it out, like, that, well, no. And you're like, wait a minute, you know? Like, actually, that's fair. So, I'm like, Warren G. Harding. And I said, there's even a photo where they're almost in exactly the same pose or angle, basically. And so I went and I looked him up, and I showed him that first photo, which was the one I was thinking of, and then I found another one where he's kind of smiling a little bit, and those are the two you see on your screen. I'm going to interchange them side by side with that John G. Lake photo, because can you tell how I was like, my brain immediately thought Warren G. Harding, this looks like Warren G. Harding. Now, see, I said to him, they're very similar. I did not think they looked this similar until I got the pictures of Warren G. Harding. And then we had, literally, because I have two monitors, side by side. The video in full screen with the... that frame, still on John G. Lake.
For starters.
And then on the right-hand monitor was Warren G. Harding, and it was just looking side by side. And we're both just, like, tripping balls. We seriously, like, they look like they're clones, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
They're from the same exact time period, too. They're equally as important, arguably. They're both very important historic figures in the United States, in its history, from the same time period. They're both from the Northeast. They both hyper-emphasize the G in their middle initials, right? For their middle names.
Their noses.
It's their whole facial structure.
Exactly.
Their skin tone, their whole facial structure, even their lips are identical. That's why their smiles are the same.
Exactly.
Their eyes are exactly the same. They're the same depth, which is pretty deep indentions.
It's
orbital
freaky.
sockets. Their eyebrows are exactly the same. Their hair was exactly the same. They were basically exactly the same age.
Exactly. What the heck?
And it's like, they dressed basically the same.
The same.
And it's like, you can't tell me that they don't look like clones.
Exactly.
Like, so, whether it's a case of, like, Shaun speculated, is that they're long-lost brothers. Nobody realized that they were actually related and they were genuinely brothers. Although, to me, at that point, they'd have to be twins. Because you can't look identical like that unless you're identical twins.
Exactly.
Which is especially bizarre and unlikely. And then, another possibility... It only gets more unlikely, though, right? Because then another possibility is that... it's something more like conspiratorial / outlandish, aka kind of existential, or esoteric, which is like, okay, maybe there's like a time slip, maybe there was a merge of realities or timelines, like maybe they were actually, like I said actually in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
This episode. I only thought of it at that point, and it actually sounds plausible, because it's very on the nose for the U.S.'s history of espionage and all sorts of other stupid shit.
No kidding.
That maybe it was actually the same fucking person, and therefore it was technically an actor, and
the CIA.
That's how John G. Lake only showed up for, like, public, photo ops or whatever, or was publicly seen, at kind of specific and, like, uncommon points in time. During that period, is because it was the same actor, it was the same person, and that this person acted as both of them for whatever weird, potentially espionage reason. So it's just really something interesting to think about, because it's very on the nose. It's just, there's too much detail to this that just screams, it's got to be something along these lines. It could again be, clones. Somehow there are clones. It could be something else related to time and dimensions, which is that somehow you got somebody who didn't realize that it was the same person technically.
No kidding.
Different identity, because like different life, quote unquote, but technically they were the same person. And so they blipped, they crossed realities, like, whether you call it through a time portal, whatever else, by accident, and they didn't realize it. And so the parallel version came through, and they didn't know why they did that, and so now they exist at the same time, but as different identities, different people. You know, there's like so many different like possibilities. Really, I mean, I say so many. It seems like a lot.
No
but, like,
shit.
Outside of the identical twins that they didn't realize they were lost, you know, basically misplaced or lost at birth, switched at birth, whatever. Like twins, identical twins. Outside of that, the rest of them are technically more existential, esoteric / conspiratorial.
No kidding.
But it just makes you have to sit there and wonder, because otherwise it's no matter what, you're going to be stuck feeling like you're tripping balls.
Exactly.
Like you're tripping on some sort of a psychedelic of some kind.
Or acid or something like that.
Acid is a psychedelic.
Yeah.
But, you know, psilocybin, DMT.
Yeah, psilocybin.
Ecstasy, Molly. Seriously.
Fentanyl.
That's not a psychedelic.
Oh, okay.
That's a painkiller. But yeah, you know, like it seriously feels like that. Like I was half losing my fucking mind when I went to Warren G. Harding and then had them side by side the pictures, because I'm like, what the fuck? Like I knew I knew he looked like Warren Harding. You know, literally similar. I didn't think they actually looked identical, but they literally look identical. You know, like
no kidding.
And it's striking to have such black eyebrows.
Exactly.
Well, all the rest of your hair is completely snow white. They have exactly the same eyebrows, you know, like taper, shape, size, everything, thickness.
The triangle around here.
Like you keep emphasizing the nose, but yeah, like the whole facial structure though is exactly identical. It's so bizarre, dude. And now I think about it, I almost want to look up what their heights were. If John Lake's Wikipedia has a height measurement,
that would be interesting.
If they turn out to be basically the same height too, you see where I'm going with that?
Hang on, let me look this up.
That would be even more trippy. And then it's like, okay, there's no way they're not the same person in some capacity. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. I know presidents even back then.
6 feet.
Okay, yeah. I figured he was 6 something. Actually, most presidents in U.S. history have been 6 feet at least.
Sheesh.
Outside of the very first set of presidents.
6 feet.
6 the same? They were the same height!
They were the same height, dude!
Okay, so yes, there's no way in some way, shape, or form or capacity they are not the same fucking person.
No kidding!
I'm sorry, at that point, there's not... yes, it technically makes the identical twin theory a little bit more plausible too.
Yeah.
But it actually makes me disbelieve it more. I believe that they have to be the same person in some capacity more. You know? Like, that is so wild. They're
no
the same
kidding,
fucking
man.
height.
Jeez.
How are you also the same height?
Why?
What the fuck?
No kidding.
Ain't no way. That's ridiculous.
That is, man. What the heck?
Look up I also want you to look up when John Lake died. Because I think it said it was like the 40s, and then it wasn't like 49. He's listed as him dying, I think. Because I know that Warren Harding died in office 2 years in.
September 16th, 1935.
Oh, they actually weren't that far apart when they died. It was about a decade. 12 years. So yeah, that's super... That is super... So they were born around the same time, too.
March 18th, 1870 is John G. Lake.
Yep. I think it was 1860 something for Warren, but I'm not 100% sure.
1865.
Come on.
What the
At
heck?
that point, you might as well just be the CIA right now, trying to script and screenwrite a fucking false flag or something akin.
No kidding.
Or it's like, well, let's make it just barely different enough that it have plausible deniability.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. Like, that... I have to be completely conspiratorial on that one. I have to side with conspiracy on that. That's...
No kidding.
There ain't no way they're not at least identical twins, if not actually the same person in some capacity. I just refuse to believe it. Like all
no
this,
kidding,
all
man.
the rest of this pretty much confirms it to me. I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
No kidding, man.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I don't... But isn't that fucking insane? How identical they are, and now we just added more how they're even more
No
identical.
kidding, man.
That is
just freaky.
You can't not feel like you're just high on some sort of a psychedelic, psychoactive drug. That's insane. That is wild. Oh yeah, another possibility was the Mandela effect. A form of Mandela effect. It would be unlikely to be a Mandela effect, but it would be very interesting if it at least was a form of it. Maybe that they don't even realize exists yet, because they don't see how you couldn't have that kind of a lived Mandela effect transpire in terms of like with actual living beings.
Yeah.
Or people or figures, because that's super weird. Yeah.
No kidding.
So just saying.
Yeah.
That's so fucking trippy.
That is freaky.
Go ahead and drop your thoughts on how similar they look in the comments below, by the way. That would be great. I'd love to see especially if it does start spawning conversations, even more so if it's debates about whether it is theories and therefore it's considered conspiracy or not. That would make it so much more fun, I think.
That would be awesome.
Get, your guys' thoughts and involvements on what you can think of. That would, because obviously most people, their minds are just going to automatically dismiss it as, oh, it's just coincidental. But I mean, come on.
Come on. After all of that,
yeah.
It doesn't become coincidence.
Right, because each detail would be subsequently also considered, therefore, mandatorily by that person coincidental. And at a certain point, a coincidence is no longer coincidence.
Exactly.
It's a pattern. And if it's a pattern, then it's real.
Exactly.
It's an actual thing. It's like a form of proof at that point, or evidence. So...
Well, heck, I mean, in that case, you can automatically call the, what was it called? The whole ordeal behind, COVID. Conspiracy. Mm-hmm. Or coincidental.
Yeah, well, guess what? Most people do see it that way, unfortunately. It's stupid.
It is stupid.
But anyway, yeah. So, you indicated you wanted to specifically start nitpicking back at the whole Christian stuff, so I'll let you take off and start that. That one.
Okay, yeah.
And then this is still going to be based off of predominantly the whole Pentecostal / charismatic movement, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, the, basically...
Which, oh yeah, by the way, if you remember episode 2, I literally made a fucking, acting reference to Pentecostals. So that's really funny, because, yeah, what people think of the most dramatic of all, some of all religions pretty much in the world, the most dramatic and over-the-top, they would put a fucking Spanish or Indian soap opera screenwriter and actor to shame, it's especially Southern Black Pentecostals, but in general, certain, more evangelical Pentecostals are just so stupidly, excessively over the top.
Well, no kidding.
So, when you think about especially the what you might consider traditional black behaviors or traits of especially women, or whatever, I did in that's actually comes and is rooted out of Pentecostalism.
Wow.
So, especially the Pentecostal churches of the South at the time, during around the the Civil War times.
Well, all right. So regarding
and that's later, the next 40 years. Yeah.
Well, regarding Pentecostalism, the setting context. All right, one thing that drives me up a wall regarding Christianity in general is it basically justifies their belief structure by which to they will force a individual to do superstitious or outrageous sorts of behavior in that regard. One thing that just drives me up a wall is the whole thing about vanity in that regard. For starters, you will not find a sin inside of the Torah in and of itself that says vanity is a sin, essentially. Mm-hmm. So, but regarding specific verses inside of the New Testament, basically it becomes that, and that ultimately becomes, well, basically that whole ordeal. Pentecostalism takes those superstitions and puts it on steroids.
Mm-hmm. It gives it a wee bit of methamphetamine.
Exactly. It gives it a wee bit of methamphetamine.
A little bit of that street jet fuel.
Exactly.
Combination hybrids. It's quite nice.
Exactly. Me being the Jew over here, basically.
He's got the juice.
Exactly.
I have a force of habit where I just feel like I have to. And there's an impulse actually right there that I give into. So every time it's like, so I'm a Jew. I'm from my because I'm a Jew or because of Judaism or whatever. Like
you have to
in that context. I immediately am like, he's got the juice. He's got the juice. He's got the juice. It's like kind of like partially Sylvester Stallone meets Bernie Sanders. It's just like
exactly.
If they had a love child, it's like, he's got the juice.
Yeah. And mind you, it's Bernie Sanders here.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's kind of, if you think about it, it's kind of like Sly Stallone. Sylvester Stallone meets Bernie Sanders in that voice, actually. It's not even like an intentional, like, a character either. It's just, that's just naturally the voice I get. And I think it is because of Bernie Sanders that influences it.
Well, alright, so, me... Yes?
I just really want to do a fucking Bernie Sanders joke now about you.
Asshole.
I don't know if I have the fucking, like, foundation right now to do it without just laughing. That's the annoying part. I just want to fucking pick on him and his voice about talking about as if Bernie is addressing everyone, saying that it is. I just want everyone to I want to make it abundantly clear to everyone in America and the rest of the world. If you vote to have me lose my 3 mansions in gated communities of the most expensive kinds on the United States' East Coast, that is, in fact, as a Jew, anti-Semitic.
What the heck?
That is anti-Semitism of the highest degree against me as a Jew.
Thump you.
To have me relinquish my mansions of investments on the East Coast of America.
Wow.
Via taxation. I want to make that abundantly clear.
Only you would make that, man. Jeez. Well, okay, so...
It's just part of the hypocrisy of Bernie, too, right? Because he's like,
exactly.
The world is burning, ocean levels are rising so fast, so it's gobbling up our beaches and our coastline cities and communities. Meanwhile, he has 3 different mansions of the highest fucking level and expense in these super rich communities in Cape Cod, in fucking Miami, and then, like, I can't remember where the other one is. I think it's, like, somewhere in New York. And it's like, so what happened to the oceans about to eat those?
Exactly.
Things?
What happened to the oceans are about to eat all life?
And what happened to the whole thing about nobody should be able to legally own
property
more than one house?
Exactly.
That they actually live in full time. Because it makes people, it creates more unhoused, and that is a big problem in the United States of America. Income inequality needs to be dealt with accordingly. So what I propose is that we institute a global leading taxation of property and income and savings on the top half of the top 1% of American citizens and business owners.
Except for me.
Except for me and my properties. That would be anti-Semitic.
Wow.
So you gotta have some excuse, right? To be a hypocrite. So it's like, hang on a second. I can't lose my property.
Well, okay.
Listen, I enjoy my own company very much.
Oh.
I'm the only one who thinks I'm a hilarious person.
Well, All right, so Pentecostalism, what they did was they, when it comes to me being a Jew here, the fact is that reputations are a very big deal. One of the gravest sins in Jewish thought, or rather even that, Torah observance, is justifying evil for the basis of God, or Hashem in this regard, is the highest evil, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's one of the main reasons by which it's very important to not add or diminish from the commandments themselves.
Mm-hmm.
One such commandment is to be fruitful and multiply.
Great.
You'll never find a hint anywhere that says vanity is evil in that regard. And ultimately, what is vanity?
I want to, I very much know what it is to me.
Hmm?
I say I very much know what it is to me. But, I'm trying to think of the exact term that historically was used by, I should be having this over here. I'm trying to think of the exact term that historically has been used by the Catholic Church for the 7 deadly sins and what the fuck the vanity aspect was. I'm not remembering the name of it right now. For some reason it's bugging me because my head's only giving me envy, which would be envying that vanity, or that wealth, that symbolism, that, that item or whatever, or that status. But I'm not remembering what that term is right now. It's bugging the living hell out of me. Because you have wrathfulness, or wrath, which is being angry, basically having major anger issues,
Mm-hmm.
or taking anger out of people or other things. You obviously have, well, ironically, being sexual or promiscuous, especially outside of wedlock. It's so stupid. So basically, sexual desire, or one of the most natural, if not the most natural thing in all biological animals.
Exactly.
You have envy, like I said, which is 3 of the 7. Greed. That's one of them. Which is one of the things I could harass and just go lay in on Catholics for till the fucking cows come home, is the whole greed thing, and then the vanity-based one, which I'm still not remembering, which is basically, in other words, opulence. It's basically, that's considered a sin, is opulence. So anything that is excessive, or outwardly trying to basically say, look at me, or look at this, or like, this is better than this, or this is better than that, or this, because it takes away attention from God and the importance of His Word. That's the basis for those things. But the thing is that kind of partially at least helps explain what vanity would be. So that's why I say I could lay in on the Catholics for eternity about that until the cows come home.
So,
especially the opulence aspect, because look at their fucking basilicas.
Exactly.
Look at the Vatican itself, especially interior. Look at their fucking clothing that all the clerics and the cardinals and the fucking priesthood and the fucking Pope wears. Look at his special vehicle that he's always had, which before was obviously a carriage and chariot, whatever else. Look at the opulence of even just a lot of their churches, temples, and cathedrals. Like, everything is as opulent as can be. While they were making most of these in the world, they were constantly harping about how you cannot be opulent because that's a sin. You cannot be envious of it because that's a sin. You cannot, be greedy because that's a sin. Meanwhile, that's the entire fucking basis of how they operated throughout that time. That's why you have the churches that they have. That's why they wear what they do. That's why they have the fucking headquarters that they do. Because it's all greed. It's all envy. It's all fucking opulence. It's all, and the greed especially is because of the fucking stupid groveling up the steps of the Vatican or these other fucking major temples and stuff in the world. It's like, they still want you to fucking pay them tithes and other shit. And it's like, so and you pay them, especially at the Vatican, you grovel up the fucking steps of this random fucking dude in his opulent fucking gear, and you give him whatever fucking money you even have left.
Indulgences.
Yeah, which is a type of tithe or whatever, or a penance. And then you do that, because, that supposedly absolves you of your sin and
Correct.
buys you into heaven. And it's like one of the most blatantly obvious grifts ever and exploitative practices. And it's like, you have to be such a special kind of fucking gullible and level stupid that's almost unfathomable to believe in that. Because it's so blatantly right there in front of you how stupid you have to be to buy into it.
Well, no kidding.
Literally buy into it. You literally have to buy into it to believe it. Like, it's the most insane thing. And it's all greed,
It is.
It's just like, but fucking Papa, Pope Joseph the 17th has got to get him a new Lamborghini convertible to ride around in Rome,
So
it's so stupid. Or for his parade.
So here's the basis by which that I'm talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
At least if you're operating strictly from the written Torah, I'm not talking about halakha here, essentially.
Right. And yeah, I just could not help myself. I had to fucking throw that shot in there because
Well, no kidding.
There's so much that probably both of us could just eviscerate Catholicism.
Well, no kidding.
Especially historic Catholicism.
Yeah.
Even more than modern, just because not that there's anything less for modern, but like it's the historic Catholicism that was arguably by far the most egregious.
Yeah.
And just vicious and deadly fucking supremacy, basically, this world's ever seen.
Well, basically, the when it comes to the whole ordeal there, the opulence, basically, one thing that I can point out in Genesis chapters 12 through I want to say 20. It portrays Hashem making Abraham very rich.
Mm-hmm.
It basically portrays him making him, basically a very wealthy individual.
Right.
That basically he got, what was it called? All sorts of property, slaves, etc., etc. Basically the things by which people would focus on property in that regard.
Yes.
In that time period.
Mm-hmm.
He
didn't just give him wealth, he gave him status.
He gave him status.
He literally gave him opulence.
Yeah, he literally gave him opulence.
Basically made him into exactly what human nature would make most people envy.
Exactly.
Especially for how poor a lot of those people were.
Exactly.
And displaced. And yet, he had the only one of them got in that quote-unquote gift. Which, if you think about it, human nature just means that made him a fucking target.
Exactly.
I put a massive target on his back. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally human nature right then and there. But even more so than that, the fact is, there's one straightforward commandment by which it could be reasoned that opulence is considered wrong. And it's the whole worldview that you're not allowed to covet anything that is your neighbor's, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Or rather, your citizen.
Which that would come, actually, that would be more envy that you'd be talking about there.
Correct.
Well, and greed. It would also have a foot in greed.
But I have to preface
envy,
this.
but that would also be greed.
But I have to preface this. Envy enough to steal.
Yeah.
Envy enough to steal. But it doesn't necessitate that you can't look at a person and see that they are gifted in style and so on and so forth, that you yourself would go to the store and buy their particular brand of style in that regard. That's, you won't find that anywhere.
Follow a trend, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, following trends, that's completely allowed. And basically, if you have the money, go for it. Why do you think I dress the way that I do? Because, well, there you go. I'm following trends.
I wouldn't have said that, but then again, it also would contradict what you said last episode.
Well, no kidding. Okay, but dude, I mean, the fact.
Hang on a second.
Well, okay, let me be straight here. It's a turtleneck, is it not?
Yeah.
So, is the turtleneck not a sign of status in trends today?
Today?
Today.
I wouldn't say that. No. Historically, yes.
All right.
Modern day, no. Now it's actually considered more of like, why the fuck do you have it? Why are you wearing a turtleneck? That looks terrible. Like that's how most people think of it. Yeah, either that or you're a nerd who has a lot of money but has no friends. Type of status. Yeah. It's kind of like modern day. If you really think about it, that's the tropes around turtlenecks. Yeah.
Wow.
So
okay, I mean, honestly, the reasoning why I bought this turtleneck is, I'll be straight with you, the fact is, I've seen a whole lot of people who would be considered high up in style wear turtlenecks. So,
yeah,
there you go.
That would be because of the fact that they're trying to mimic the history of it.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like wearing purple, royal purple, quote unquote, or
Yeah.
doing things with royal purple because people are, or the burgundy. Because
That makes sense.
those two shades of colors are infamous, if you will, or at least famous, if not infamous. I would say arguably infamous for being considered royalty.
Okay.
The colors of royalty, and therefore, because royalty throughout history, in Europe at least, always made sure that they had that as a dominant color. That's why you've always seen that depicted, is because they always had either burgundy
Yeah.
or purple. Because it was considered royal. In fact, that's literally how you got Crown Royal tequila in purple velvet bags, because it was royally colored. Right.
Also,
It wasn't
tell
until
us in the comment section if you think what was it called? If the turtleneck is a sign of prestige or status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's why I said, like, specifically historically it was.
All right.
Because also, especially from the French, a lot of the fucking French nobles and oligarchs, and obviously therefore kings and queens and all that wore turtlenecks a lot. I mean, even before that, the Habsburgs had the fucking ruffle necks, and I think that's what led to turtlenecks, because they're like, oh, it's similar. But like, now if you're in Africa and you have a lot more connection to still your travel routes, then yes. Turtlenecks or anything that would do the whole neck extension, or at least be looked like akin to it,
Okay.
would definitely be considered high
Okay,
status,
that's
for obvious
interesting.
reasons. But that would still be because they're clinging to history. You know?
All right, that's an interesting worldview.
Yeah, it's like our neighbor Aaron. He's the top hat guy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Right? He's the guy who's usually dressed to the nines, looking like he's an aristocrat. You
Well,
know,
no kidding.
from, I don't know, 1796 or something.
Yeah.
Or 1892 or
1800s
something.
or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I know
Um,
who you're referring to.
Yes, and so he dresses like that because he has this huge sense of pride in his heritage of being Polish.
Yes.
And so 90% of what he wears and dresses in is actually officially authentically Polish. Traditional garb for
Wow.
nobles and royalty.
Okay, now that's
Um,
interesting.
Yeah, and according to him, in Poland, historically the nobles and the royals who wore these specific things like the top hats and the capes and the, various different, certain
Yeah.
suits and stuff like that, they did that, and it wasn't so much as a supremacy thing. Like, it was still status, but it wasn't like in your face status or like we rule you status.
Yeah.
Because apparently they were obsessed with like a certain form of respect, and it was like a very subdued form of respect where it's like you take care of each other type of thing,
Yeah.
And this is before the first major like wars, defensive wars they had to go into, because all of a sudden all these competing kingdoms suddenly invaded them. You know what I mean? Which,
Yeah.
That really started in like I'd say maybe the late 1400s. But it didn't really start in earnest until probably the late 1500s or early 1600s, when they were still part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth.
Yeah.
But, like, so it was even before that. That's just how they operated, was, even Hussar days and stuff before that. They were very subdued, what I would call subdued respect. Because, modern day, when people talk about respect, it's almost like a authoritative...
Honor and shame.
Yeah, an authoritative, like, strict instruction or, like, type of way, or, this only in these ways is this respectful or something, which I've always had the hugest problem with. I fucking despise that with a passion.
Yeah.
It's actually why modern day, I often tell people, I'm like, I am Joel. Invasive thought or intrusive thought. That was fucking. You know what that's from? Right?
Yes, I know exactly. I am Job.
Job. I am Job.
Misstep fire.
Yes, I just, my brain just is like, hang on a second, this must be done first. I require this impulse to be adhered to.
You must do this.
It's an invasive thought. I gave leeway. Intrusive thought.
Exactly.
But yeah, like modern day, I always say is like I almost intensively disrespect the modern day perception of what respect is.
Yeah.
Like it pushes me so far the opposite direction, the wrong way.
Yeah.
It rubs me so negatively because I'm like I despise how people interpret and respect now, because they don't, and like a lot of times it's contradictory or it doesn't make any sense, but it's always rooted in some weird fucked up semblance of entitlement. Whether that's especially for expectation of like what is the S word I'm looking for? Well, basically, the other term for it would be sucking up to people, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not an S, it's the A word, appeasing. You're appeasing the ego of these other assholes and these people. And if you don't do it, you're considered highly disrespectful.
Exactly.
Absolutely fucking not. I will riot if I have to against that, because I'm that, it genuinely makes me angry. Like, it's offensively wrong to me, And it's like, I don't like that at all. Like, to me, respect is... Well, I technically, now that I think about it, the only best example I can give is just literally how I've always operated, Like, literally like how you and me met.
Exactly.
Or how you've seen me talk to other people or meet people that I've never fucking met before. Or I've never seen before. I still talk to them like I talk to you.
Yeah.
Or I would talk to anybody, Because I don't have to know somebody. I don't even think to ask somebody's name. Because I don't, like, their identity is not even important to me. Like, that's true respect, because you're just respecting each other by being nice to each other, by being kind to each other, right? Another way is kind of actually, as I gave a little bit earlier, right? With a mini rant about these two fucking mom and pops who didn't fucking tell me about the obvious dents and bends, to my wheel, which means I have to get rid of my car. Like, you could have at least had the respect for yourself and your own business, if not also for your customer, and your neighbor, to let them fucking know that there's some actual potentially dangerous damage that could end really badly in a horrible, like, blowout tire accident.
Exactly.
Like, let them know. You have the fucking, basic common sense, courtesy, and thus respect to fucking tell people that. You know what I mean? Like, that's true respect to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's respect is something you don't even have to think about. You don't have to be instructed to do.
You just do it.
It should be fucking innate. Like, you don't have to be taught it. It's just there by default, And that's why, like, a lot of kids, especially if they're allowed to be kids and they're not, like, constantly fucking guided or instructed or, like, put into a fucking queue, so to speak, right? To be like, no, this is how you must act. This is how you must speak. This is how you must treat people. Like, no. If you let them just be kids, free, Like, yes, you're still giving them guidance, you're still giving them instruction, you're still watching over them here.
Exactly.
But because you're a responsible person and you care for them, but you're not going to step in their path and grab their arm or hand and be like, hey, hang on a second, you know what I mean, and try to redirect them. You're going to let them figure it out, And, like, if you think about it, that's where we know, throughout all of human history, that I should just say that children are born naturally empathetic. Not sympathetic, empathetic. Full empathy. And actually wildly understanding and more emotionally intelligent and capable in a bigger capacity than most adults have now. Because they're not tainted or tarnished by parental or teacher instruction or by society yet. They're still what you would consider to be and what we've always called pure or innocent, because it's innate. It proves it's innate in all of us to be respectful. That's why, unless it's taught or influenced because they've been around it, whether society, teachers, parents, whatever else, and you let them be their kids, and so none of that's really a factor, no kid has any prejudices or bigotry at all. It's just not there. That has to be influenced and taught to be put in their heads to where it's normalized enough to where they now have it.
Exactly.
It just doesn't exist, right? And so, like, it doesn't mean they can't be frustrated, like, be perceptive enough to understand, like, oh, I keep experiencing this, and the one common denominator is, say, they're Californians.
Exactly.
now I'm getting agitated by these people because they always seem to have this problem the same way every time, right? Like, that's natural because of experience and observation. It's not, therefore, technically you could argue, it's a bit pedantic, semantic, you could argue it's not a form of prejudice at all, or thus a form of bigotry. It's just a factual experience that they can have consistently had, where you're looking at the full picture and you're like, what is the common denominator? So their brains are doing what they're supposed to. Their cogs are turning in their head, cognitively, their cogs are turning. They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to understand, piece the puzzle together to be like, what is this? Why? There's something similar about all these people, are the same. Is there some traits that are common enough that actually tells me, oh, this is a specific group of people?
Well, no shit.
You know, like, which is actually exactly what you want in a kid, especially considering then you think about it, right?
Exactly.
That's going to help them without you necessarily as a parent or a community member having to help guide them along to get stranger danger or whatever. Exactly. They're going to be able to be better perceptive if you just let them do that naturally like that.
Hello, episode 1. Yeah,
so that way they don't fucking, they learn on their own. Like, oh, I pieced this puzzle together, that's that group of people. Exactly. Oh, this person's not trustworthy, or this person, I feel negatively about this person, or these kinds of people, and so they'll keep their distance now, because they're like, this doesn't feel safe.
Exactly.
Even if they don't have the words for it yet, they're understanding because they're feeling it, and they're like, this is not correct, or whatever, or these people make me feel good, and that's why I really like these people, and they gravitate towards them, right?
Exactly.
They're still pure or innocent, if you want to call it that, because those are the two mainstream colloquial terms that everybody in English uses to describe that as a whole. And so that's kind of my point with that, right? That it's innate. You don't have to teach true respect because it's automatically there. And so it would actually argue and uses therefore evidence by default. It becomes its own evidence and proof that it's actually society and teachers and parents and family members who are teaching the true respect out of their children. Exactly. And that's how we're at the point now where people think respect is something completely different, and it's actually based in ego. An appeasement of egos. And it's just...
Well, even more so. The point that I was getting at regarding... that was
a side tangent.
We're going to... Yeah, that was a side tangent. We're going to get back to the topic of, what was it called? What was it called?
It was clothing and vanity based, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's why it started.
Religion in that regard.
I know it started off with me going into the Polish thing.
Exactly.
It was respect, then Polish.
Exactly.
Because it was about the respect, and that was also related to the whole royal purple.
Well, no shit.
And burgundy. That's right. Yeah. I'm trying to place it for myself so I can remember exactly detailed where we left off from, or where I side tangents from.
Well, basically, in and of itself, the thing that drives me bonkers in regards to Pentecostalism is it says anything that proverbially comes from God in that regard then becomes, what was it called, is good in that regard.
Yeah.
However, Torah doesn't teach that. Torah actually comes right out and teaches that there's a very explicit code of conduct that Jehovah would never violate, for starters, and two, that he would, and number two, he himself will actually test a person to see whether or not they will adhere to that strict moral code, or if they won't. But basically they say, but Pentecostalism says any sort of divine revelation comes from God, per se, or whatever. But we're not taught that. We're taught that we're supposed to weigh every sort of, any sort of divine revelation. If it's a voice that comes from heaven or any sort of audible voice, as what was it called, that person Sanford on that video, he heard an audible voice that said Armageddon. Yeah, we're literally told that any sort of audible voice may not be coming from him, or quote unquote. That basically, in and of itself, you have to use your intellect.
Yeah.
Whether to test the proverbial spirits in that regard, or rather their attributes.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I realized, that's why I smirked there, as I realized that actually that's akin to Jehovah's Witnesses in a way too, because that's how they have the whole anointed. That's how you become anointed, is supposedly it's people who just are like, oh, I absolutely got spoken to by Jehovah.
Do you really know that?
And for some reason, I don't even know how the hell they choose to believe, how they choose who they believe in them. You know?
Exactly.
You can't technically...
That drives me up a wall. How can you choose to believe that? That's mental illness.
You can't even test it.
You
You
can't.
can't test it to verify it, you know, you just have to trust it, like, okay, well, you're a very respected member of our organization, our religion, therefore, you know what? These elders can vouch for you, therefore you're clearly anointed, you know, and it's like, I don't think that's how that works, so.
Exactly.
You know, like, that's not quite right, you know, but now I think about it, that's very Pentecostal-esque, too.
Exactly,
So
it is.
they have those two things in common for sure. But at the same time, in the vein of what you said about Judaism, about saying is like, well, you don't know, like you have to use your faculties to verify who it's really from, like verify the spirit, so to speak, right? If they're bad or whatever. Technically, Jehovah's Witnesses also kind of believe that in a way.
Technically.
They technically believe that Satan is demons, aka the worldly people in the worldly earth, who poison your spirituality, or might poison it. If you start to question the doctrine, they are always trying to get in your head and influence you, even as Jehovah's Witness. They're always trying to pull you into their evil world, their worldly world, right? Their darkness, and they're always trying to influence you and poison your spirituality. And so it's like they're like technically they also kind of believe that like there's a chance that it actually could be, you know, Satan as demons playing tricks on you. And trying to influence you if you think that happened. But if you're familiar with Jehovah's Witnesses, they had constantly had to keep resetting their fucking number of anointed ones because there was a maximum number set for a long time of 144,000. It was like between the late 80s, I think, through about 2020, I think.
Yeah.
And then they finally realized, like, oh fuck, this is not working because like they kept hitting way over 144,000 anointed people. And you're like, fuck, you know. Then they kept resetting it, and all of a sudden, like 60% of them would be gone again, and then they'd be back down below 140,000, like 60,000 instead, and they keep going right back up again and over. And finally, in 2020, they're just like, fuck it, we're gonna get rid of it. We're gonna go back to what we said before before 1990 or like the late 80s, and we're gonna say instead that we're gonna go back to what we said originally, which is the unnumbered ones and the little flock, because you know, if we can say we go back to calling it the unnumbered ones, well then they're unnumbered. We don't know how many there might be of God's anointed and chosen people that are gonna go up to a heaven that they don't technically believe exists with. It's so backwards. That's super contradictory. That part has always bugged me.
No kidding.
And like go to a heaven that does not exist with Jesus after he comes back, and then they're gonna go back up there, and then together with Jesus, because they've been anointed by him and Jehovah, they're going to now select who are the good boys and girls and who are the worldly boys and girls that are not permitted to get everlasting life on paradise. And then technically from there, then once they make that selection, all of us will just be cut down to Earth and die. And just be dead on the worldly Earth, which is supposedly the same Earth, but also not the same Earth, because of reasons. And then Paradise Earth will take over, because Jesus, and the anointed ones. And then that lasts for 1,000 years, because it's basically more like a test trial, to see if they got it right. It's basically, they'll never say that, but it's basically what that means. To see if they actually got it right. And then, if they find out that there's more little wolves in sheep's clothing, then they're going to go call them to on the worldly earth, which is also the paradise earth, but not because of reasons. And then, don't question it, just accept it. And then, and only then, once that happens the second time, now it's actually permanent, everlasting, infinite life on earth. And all predators are not predators because they're all vegans. Because if you're perfect, you wouldn't need to eat meat or kill anything. So, vegan tigers. apparently.
It's
so stupid. But you see how, like, that's where that goes to, through that whole, like, kind of Pentecostal, semi-Pentecostal / semi-Jewish attachment. You see how they cherry-picked specific bits and bobs and then, like, tried to force them together? It's
yes.
like, I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah. Well, basically, as what was it is stated in what was it called in The Princess Bride? Inconceivable.
Yep.
I don't think you know what that means.
You keep saying those words. I don't think you know what it means. I love that character.
I love that character too.
Oh, I love all the characters, actually. They're all great. But, like, Inigo Montoya might be my favorite just because, I don't know, there's just something about him.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
Antonio Banderas, especially back then, was actually a pretty good looking dude. Like, he was a pretty boy. So, like, that, especially that damn twinkle he got in his eye every time he grinned. That motherfucker enjoyed that role so much.
No shit, man.
And, you know, again, like, completely platonically, that made him more attractive every time that twinkle in his face. Like, you piece of shit.
You little piece of shit. Jeez.
Yeah. Actually, that would be an interesting topic at some point, whether today or tomorrow, because it's been overdue. We just took 2 hours.
Okay.
To talk about, it's like that there is, you know, talk about the actual real difference between, you know, the guys being able to say that other guys are attractive, and literally it's not anything remotely weird, because it's just not, like, you're just admitting, like, yeah, they're good.
In a roundabout way, I can
You know.
sort of agree. In a roundabout way, I can sort of agree because of the fact that, well, basically, when you go on social media, there are some people that will actually state that sort of thing, and they don't mean anything by it. For crying out loud,
not at all. No.
So I mean, they're just stating things as a matter of fact. That's all they're doing.
Exactly. Which, you know, I do that occasionally from time to time myself.
Well, no kidding.
And it's like, I'm straighter than an arrow.
Same here.
Made by an OCD person in a graphics program. Like, I am terrifyingly straight.
Exactly.
I literally have scared myself a few times before, genuinely, like how straight I am. I'm like, damn. I don't know what's possible. But, as Ray Stevens would have said once, you know, upon time, you know, getting a haircut, I'm secure in my manhood, so I confidently told him, I said, I'm a Walger, Goose Bay, Oregon. Yeah, the haircut song, especially if you get the unedited version, the full original, it's uncensored, it's so good. But they edited and censored it heavily because it, you know, might offend gay people, because that was part of the joke there, and exactly that part is that he goes there into that barber, and then he's like, you might have a problem with me, and he goes, well, I don't see why not, and he says, I'm gay. I'm gay. Now I'm secure, my manhood. I write and I play my little songs. And so I told him, I said, I'm a Walker in Goose Bay, Oregon. So, just falling apart. Oh God, I'm so confident. Yeah, that's great. I love Ray Stevens. He's great. But, yeah. What the fuck was the point of that mention again? It was related to what we just talked about.
It was about... yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, so I'm very secure in my manhood. I got a haircut from Goose Bay, Oregon, a Walker. No, I am. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you actually are, and you can still admit it, that's like, that dude is actually really good looking, you know? Like, there's nothing weird about that, and I don't know why a lot of people think that it is. Like, I guess you have to have some weird sexual energy towards the person if you think they're attractive, and it's like, what? In what universe does that make any sense to anybody who has a functioning brain cell?
Exactly.
Like, what? I mean, at that point, there's usually a lot of the same people who expect... I should try to re-say that sentence that I started, because I really slurred the fuck out of that, as if I'm fucking brain damaged or drunk. Well, most people nowadays, they're right. They are the same. A lot of times, those are the same people who insist and always are like, how is it that certain guys or gals can't separate between romantic feelings and interest and attraction versus sexual, right? And it's like, that's a good point, except you're a hypocrite, because then when like guys go and say that dude's fucking, like, he's hot, he's a hot dude, he's fucking attractive, you're like, well, you basically imply that it can only be sexual. And it's like, that's why you think it's weird. And it's like, dude, like, they're like, are you fucking gay? It's like, no, but you're a fucking hypocrite, clearly, because you can't fucking do both. You can't have it both ways. Like, how can you separate there and expect that, but you don't expect the same of yourself for
exactly
just being able to
What
point
the
out
fuck?
when somebody's attractive? What? Like, you know, that'd be like if people hear me say like, oh, my brother Mario's really fucking attractive, and he is. He's a damn good looking dude. He's one of the best looking people I've ever seen in my life, and like so many people agree with me on that, right? Like, it's not even, I'm not even the first person that's ever said that, but it's just true.
So,
and he's 44 this year. In 1 week, today is Monday, so yeah, a week from yesterday, he'll be 44. He still looks like he's in his fucking 20s. Wow. He really does. Like, he's really good looking. And it would be like, though, if people are like, well, that's even weirder now. Just what, are you attracted to your brother? It's like, no.
what the fuck? Did
No.
you not hear what we
You-
were saying?
You're the weirdo at that point. Like, because your brain can only go down that route, you're the one who's fucking weird. I'm sorry, but it's a fact. In fact, therefore,
What
I'm
was
not
it?
actually sorry. I'm just stating a fact.
So
Right?
me and a friend of mine,
Yeah.
or as I like to call it, my disciple. What was it called?
His disciple of madness.
Every once in a while, he sends me pictures of himself. I do the same, and basically we react to each other's looks, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one thing that's important for me and important for him is how we dress, essentially.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's
Whereas, as you can tell, for me, I'm the opposite. I couldn't give a
Exactly.
fuck. All I care about is, does it do its job? Yes. And is it comfortable? Yes. Perfect. Okay.
so
Which we actually touched on in the last episode, now that I think about
exactly.
it. So, yeah. Anyway, you want to wrap it up here?
Yes.
Alright, perfect. It's actually the perfect time for it, too. So, thank you so much for watching.
The Off the Cuff Podcast,
I have been Shaun.
and I've been Danny.
That's a lie, as usual.
Exactly.
And thank you so much for watching, and make sure if you want to keep catching episodes and be parts of the conversation, besides dropping a comment below, which is how you join the conversation, you also should subscribe to the channel so that you can keep getting episodes once every 2 weeks. And then again, as I've said in each episode before, and I'm going to continue to say, because I feel like it's a very important part of our brand, so to speak, and emphasis on this podcast, is that on this channel on YouTube, you're only ever going to get 2 videos and those 2 notifications per month. So that means that you're never going to get notification spam if you subscribe and turn on the notifications, which is important for the algorithm's sake, because unfortunately, because YouTube's dumb. And then you also don't get your feed clogged up. Like every other fucking podcast in the universe. So there is no risk at subscribing to our podcast channel.
Yes.
You'll never get spammed. So make sure you do that if you are into the podcast so far. Yeah. And again, we would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, that's part of how you join our conversations, and that's how we're going to be part of building the community together, right? That's all from us for episode 9. That's German for 9. 9.
No.
9. No, not 9. 9 is no. 9 is 9.
Oh.
Yeah, Neun. 9. It's really weird. Anyway, there you go. Episode 9. Anyway, we're going to shut the fuck up. Oh, I'm going to shut the fuck up. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a safe day or night wherever the flip dick you may be. And until next time, we'll see you in your dreams. And that's a real problem. They're developing a medical intervention right now. Or that disturbing. Well, it's true. I know our value, goddammit.
Goodbye.